Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Ring Dragon. What is up with this? Come on. Next slide. And it just skipped a whole slide. All right, here we go. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to another Green Dragons Gaming Club. Without us, they wouldn't feel like winners. Without them, we couldn't look so good. So, again, we're based out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. If you're in the area or local states, so Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, do me a favor, reach out to us. Be more than happy to get a game in. Those of you who do know me know that I travel, so it's either down there or better yet, come up to us with our when we have our gaming days. So, with that said, this was one of my traveling days. So rather than getting stuck in traffic outside Washington D.C., I called up one of my buddies and brought my models down with me. And we were able to turn around and get a game in it. And I gotta say, this was a great game. I had such a blast playing them, and at the end, I'm going to go over one thing because it stresses the importance of an aspect that I usually don't put enough emphasis on. So we'll get to that. So this is going to be an Undying Dynasties versus the Kingdom. So it's 4,500 points. It's Encircle and Secure Target. And that's it. So here's deployment. Unfortunately, I don't have the list to go ahead and post. But I'm going to go ahead and say he won the dice roll. So you want to be the defender. So it's Encircle. So he had 15 inches from the front and shorter edges. Because he's playing Undying Dynasties, he really keeps in mind his leadership bubble in order for marching and everything else, and also his magic. Because again, with Undying Dynasties, you turn around, you cast a augment, then all of a sudden you can turn around and get models back. So I drop for first turn, and he looks at me after we drop for first turn, and he goes, and I have to explain the blessing. He's like, if you pray, we do a dice roll yet? Yes. And like, if I win, do I have to go first? I'm like, no, it's your choice. Okay, so if I want to go second, it doesn't make a difference. I go second. Either way, I'm like, yeah, because I'm dropping for first. Okay, so we go ahead. We do Vanguard. So here's the picture after Vanguards. I'm sorry. This is after movement. So I do move up my fast cavalry a little bit just in case he does get first turn. Only want one unit of snakes to turn around and go in which case they're bait. He knows they're bait. I should start calling my mounted yeoman fish bait. And here's how it looks after movement. So I did go ahead. I took my DTs for moving out of the ruins. I rolled a 3 and something else. Sorry for not having that pick. And flew him over to the other side, moving him at 16 inches. I really liked having that 18-inch leadership bubble. My mounted yeomen made sure that they were outside of line of sight. And that's it. My Grail Knight shimmied off to the right there. And that was it. I did not bother moving the one unit of yeomen on the right-hand side. A couple different reasons. One is I didn't think he was going to be able to kill all of them in one turn. Two, now that my lord was over there, I had my 18-inch leadership bubble, so I wasn't as concerned at this point in time. And that was it. So during the shooting phase, if you notice, he actually has quite a few units of chaff. He's got a unit of chaff behind one of his giants. He's got a unit of chaff behind. Sorry, it's not. He's got the blue chaff next to the. No, we've already picked it up at this point in time. That's why I'm going nuts trying to find it. He's got the one unit of chaff on the right-hand side of his chariots, and he's missing a unit of chaff there. And the reason why he's now missing a unit of chaff between his one Colossus and the chariots is because my crossbow's turnaround opened up and cleared him out in one turn. But that's why I didn't move the unit on the right, is I wanted them to also have that opportunity to open up and take take them out as well. So I'm going to take this moment just to go through the armies at this point in time. So going from left to right, his army, it's Tomb Cataphracts. It's a Colossus that does not have the magic upgrade, so it's just however it comes kit out for fighting. And then he's got a unit of fast cavalry of I think scouts. He's got another unit of Tomb Cataphracts, another Colossus. He had another unit of scouts. Then he has his Tomb Chariots that had a Necromark with them, and then another unit of chaff. So during his phase, he just kind of shimmies up a little bit, not really wanting to make commit because again, I have the distance, I have the range for charging, and that was it. During his magic, he tries to take my lord off the table, fails to wound. Either I stop the spell or he fails to wound me. And then he does manage to shoot off one of my mounted yeomen, but not enough for a panic test. And that's it. So during my turn, I go ahead and I shimmy my lord over. I take my one unit of chaff, move it up. I did not do the same on the other side. And I'm not sure if that was a mistake or the right play. So I played a little bit more conservative, a little bit more smart, because we had the Mexican standoff going off over there. He had the 2 Cataphracts versus 2 Lances. I had him on range, and I had a unit of chaff over there. So what he does on the right-hand side, though, since I'm chaffing up his chariots, so he can't get to my ground knights, I move them up, and my Duke is in a position that it opens up the field for me. He charges my chaff with his, and he manages to kill 3 of them, but I killed 3 of his, which I really don't think was what he intended, because I ended up running 12. I'm going to go back a pick rather than forward. So I ended up running 12 inches back back towards my lines. He only runs 9 inches at that point in time. So during my turn, I declare a charge with the ground knights into the unit of chariots up on the hill. My Duke charges into the chaff. All I needed was a 9 to get that unit in. And this was something I did as a mistake, and now that I see that. So I go ahead, I fail that charge, I drop my Green Knight during my movement phase, and I positioned it more towards the middle. What I should have done is given him either a front or flank, probably a front charge, and positioned it so that I was still going to be chaffing his chariots, but making a slightly longer charge for his Colossus there. During his turn, he declares charges. He gets into the Green Knight, and here's how the board looks. The left-hand side of the board, really not a whole heck of a lot going on. During my shooting phases so far, I've put a wound on a Colossus, and he heals the wound. Put a wound on a Colossus, he heals the wound. Now comes time for that close combat. Oh, I'm sorry. One thing I need to mention is he's been moving that one of his units of fast cavalry of the scouts over to the other side. So far, I've killed one with shooting. I killed the other one with my Duke, and that just leaves him now the 3rd unit of chaff. So right now, I am still winning this chaff war. Overall, he ends up killing my my Green Knight. My Green Knight does put a wound, and he needs a 10 to make this overrun. So what does he do? He rolls a 5, but he rolls one of the 5s on a piece of terrain. He's like, oh, no. I'm like, it's clear, it's flat. He's like, nope, I re-roll. So gentleman picks up his dice, and he and rolls another 5. So he still gets his 10 no matter what. And he goes, all right, that's great. I'm so lucky. I'm like, yeah, the issue is now your Colossus is in the flank of my Duke, so my Duke's going to be able to get in there. And at the beginning of the game, he wasn't decided on whether or not he likes the build of my Duke. Um, and at the end of the game, he actually turns to me and goes, "I've decided. I like your build. You'll see why." So here's how it looks after my movement. Again, Duke goes charging into the flank. I go ahead, I chaff up the 1 unit Cataphracts. I figured now's the time to make my move because he decides to uh, go after my own chaff. And in retrospect, I could have stayed back another turn, and I probably should have without without committing, because having that unit of chaff is huge. It really, really is huge. So again, I move up. I'm not worried about his Cataphracts or the Colossus in the middle, just the one on the far left. And that's it. So he does charge. Let me go back a phase. So if you notice, this is actually end of the end of the turn. So his Colossus, which did make that 10-inch charge, my Duke killed it without thinking twice. And that one mounted yeoman rallied during last turn and now ends up chaffing his chariots once again. So again, his chariots are chaffed. He tried shooting at it again. He only because of I take druidism, so I managed to have two mounted yeomen. He only killed one of them and passed the panic test. So he goes ahead and he charges there into the mounted yeoman. He charges that other mounted yeoman. And finally, he manages to kill that one yeoman. Over here, we didn't even bother. I said, just roll, see how many hits. He's like, all but 3. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to remove the unit. And that's it. So now here's how the board looks. This is after my movement phase. And I go ahead with the Grail Knights. I charge into his chariots. I charge in with my Duke into a chariot, and the one chariot on the right there with nothing in it, that's actually the Necromark. So I go ahead, get it in there with the Duke, and you can't tell by this picture, but that one unit, he goes ahead. Go back a few picks. Oh, I think I went the wrong way. Sorry about that. There it is. So he takes his center unit and goes right up in front of my grill there with his cavalry unit. And he ends up, let me go back to the other pick. Okay, so he ends up there putting on Know Thy Enemy, so +2 offensive, defensive, and +2 agility. He has on there Stars Align, so rerolling the hits and divine attacks, and rerolling some wounds. And I'm like, nope, I could double charge it right now with the aspirants and my Knights of the Realm, which would normally be in my favor, but with that many magical buffs, that many those things going first and re-rolling everything and having divine attacks on top of that, I just can't do it. So over here, my Duke is actually corner, and my Duke on the first round of combat kills the Necromark. He gets to swing again, kill because I have Virtue of Might on him. Kills at least one more charioteer. He kind of screwed it up. I'm like, oops. And my Grail Knights go in, do the remaining at over 12 wounds. So the unit of chariots never got a chance to do anything. My Lord overruns, and I all needed was 7 to get into his fast cav. I get my 7, and that's where that is. So my Duke ends up going into that. Over there, my crossbowman put 2 wounds, needing 7s and 5s onto that unit there. And that's how the board looks. He did manage to get one spell off at one point. I see a wound on my Lord, and I apologize for not describing it. Is he did get an unerring strike on my Lord, and that only put on 1 wound after it was a boosted unerring strike. So now my Grails are up on the hill, and I go ahead and, of course, I do my combat pivot, giving me the entire look of the field. He charges in his one remaining Colossus into my unit the banner of the last charge, which of course is definitely a smart play because I am within 18 of my lord. However, I've failed those rolls more times than I like to count. And then he turns around and he goes, "Time to evacuate. Evacuation." And he takes all his characters up and moves them out, getting away from that eve of my main forces. So there was that. What else did he do? He also goes ahead and we're doing a secure target. So you can see one back by his pants leg and the other one there in the water. He plays the one in the water. This was my mistake. And I think this may cost me later on. You'll wait and see with the battle report. Is I just lined it up in the back thinking, all right, he'll just stay back there. I should, and thinking with my army, I would be going in that one general direction. What I should have done is I should have spaced him out. I should have had him try to go after one or the other. Live and learn. That was definitely one of my mistakes. So going back to his charges, he actually takes the unit on the far left and charges my knight aspirants. And that was it. He did not go after my peasants there. And let's see. I already went through that combat, the evacuation. So he charges me there. I flee. I roll boxcars, but I still managed to stay on the board. So here's how the board now looks. His Colossus goes in, as I said, into a nicer realm. My Duke makes short work of the fast cavalry and then turns around. He has Know Thy Enemy, and he has reroll Swoon up on his Colossus. He only manages to do one wound. I think he rolled a 3 for his grind attacks, and out of his 6 attacks, he only hit me twice onto my BSB, in which case I think it's AP 5, so all I got was my ward. I ended up making one of my wards. He had a decent chance to kill my BSB, but unfortunately, or fortunately, my view, fortunately, he failed. So my Ground Knights go charging in for the rescue, and my Duke goes charging into his bunker. At the end of the game, he's sitting on that, and I did a reform, and he's sitting on the objective. So he ended up contesting the one. However, pardon me, he ends up claiming the one in the back with the other unit of the Tomb Cataphracts, and that's how the game ends at this point in time. To me, this was a great chess match. It was a bloodbath on both sides. And we still have most of our points. As it stands out, I'm doing the MVPs first this time, because as you can see, we both have. He has his cataphracts. He has both units. He still has his bunker, and he still has all his characters. So it's a good game. It's a close game. He also has the objective as well. So for the MVPs, in my opinion, it is the Undying Dynasties with the Tomb Cataphracts, and for the Kingdom, it was the Mountain Yeoman. So I'm just going to go back and show why. So no. Yes. All right. So here's the reason why. Is first the Mountain Yeoman go up, they chaff. He doesn't take the bait, sends in his other chaff. They break, and then they rally, and then they're chaffing again. And that's why I said my Mountain Yeoman is literally just because of that one unit. And believe it or not, it actually dictated how he acted on the other side as well. So I have to be honest, I was really, really happy in regards to how that unit performed. I think I still have to get better with them, but overall, I was pretty happy on how this turned out. As for his cataphracts, when he marched them up and forced me to go around rather than charging in, that to me was huge. That was costly, and there was just nothing I could do. My mage was too far away. I didn't have a hill close by, so stone skin was out of the question, and that would have been the only way. Only way I go sending them into that unit. Yeah. So what it equates out to is ends up being a 10-10 tie. All right. So as I said, this was a great game. He got 1,042 points from me. I got 2,000 from him. That made a point difference of 958. So again, that's where me placing that second marker down where I did, that cost me. Because I had secured one flank and not the other flank. It would have forced him to make a decision. Then both would have been competed. And otherwise, point spread, normally it would have been a 13-3. But again, as I said, it's a 10-10. That was it. Like I said, this was a great, great game. So again, we're all prepping for North American Masters. He's prepping for his own tournaments that he's going to be heading off to. I've got an East Coast Warriors going on this upcoming Saturday, and then we have Battle Cry in April. We have the Triumph GT up here in Jersey in June. Dragon's Den is going to be in September, and Drill Quest, I believe, is going to be in December. Don't forget about Brawler's Bash in Atomic Empires in North Carolina. We have Corner Hammer going on the end of this month in Chicago. And Buckeye has changed the dates to the June 22nd, I believe, June 23rd, that weekend there. And again, there's so many different tournaments I would love and absolutely love to go. Unfortunately, family comes first. So for those of you who I unfortunately won't have a chance to see at those tournaments, the only one I'm going to is actually going to be Battle Cry. I truly wish you the best of luck, and until next time, happy gaming.